Morning, it's Monday, March 10th. I'm Rick, and I want to talk a little bit about a deal that was just announced by Netflix. They are going to stream three specials from the Kill Tony podcast, which you probably have not heard of. It's very popular, but it's not what you would call a mainstream thing. All you have to know is it's sort of coming out of that Joe Rogan, Austin comedy podosphere sort of environment. They're also it's co-hosted by a comic named Tony Hinchcliffe, and they're also doing another stand-up special with him solo. And if you know Tony Hinchcliffe at all, odds are you know him from his appearance at Madison Square Garden for the Trump rally, where he made a lot of headlines for, I mean, basically doing what he does, which is to say a lot of sort of semi-lame racist adjacent or full-on racist stuff, and then sort of apologizing for it and saying, "Oh, well, people just didn't get the joke. They're trying to keep me down, you know." Among other things, I'm make sure I get this correct. He said that he described Puerto Rico as a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean. He talked about how Latinos love making babies. And he said, there's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside just like they did to our country. He also told this weird story about one of his black, buddies, and how they were hanging out, carving watermelons together. I find this approach with comedy just irritating in general. You might have read the piece that I wrote about Andrew Schulz, who's another comic from this thing. And matter of fact, he's one of the guests, along with Shane Gillis, that they're talking about is going to be a part of one of these Kill Tony specials. And they do these jokes, and they know that they're offensive to a lot of people, and that's sort of the attraction. They do the joke, and then they could have smirk, and then if anyone says anything, it's, oh, you just don't get comedy, or you're just trying to censor me. And I'm sort of old school. I believe that a comic starts arguing that the audience is dumb, not them. They're probably taking the wrong approach. But hey, what do I know? I mean, it's the podcast, the Tony podcast, very popular. All these guys are doing really well, but it's interesting to me that Netflix is really embracing this. As a matter of fact, in the press release this morning, they had a quote from uh, Tony basically talking about, "Oh, this is great that Netflix gives me the creativity to say and do whatever I want, and then they don't try and censor me." And I I think part of the issue is that people just don't pay attention. In the industry, you're going to see a lot of probably press coverage today of, oh, they've announced this deal, and there'll be some background of the Kill Tony podcast, and maybe some mention of the Madison Square Garden appearance. But for the most part, these things don't get reviewed in the mainstream entertainment press. They don't get a lot of coverage, and because of that, these things hit Netflix, and they're being seen worldwide. And here's my thing. I don't think they should necessarily, I'm not saying censor them. I'm not saying protest them. I'm just saying let's make sure that people who subscribe to Netflix know that that's part of what they're subscribing to. You don't have to watch it, but it would be nice to see some people pushing back against it and saying, you know what? I don't care if they're popular. Maybe these aren't the people that you want representing you globally. Lord knows the U.S. has a bad enough reputation already, so I'm not sure that this is really the approach to go. But I'm interested in seeing what you think. Drop a comment in the comments section below. Send me an email, rick@allyourscreens.com. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.